Good. Done. Okay, folks, we're back from our lunch break. Some of you are too. Hi, Gompo, Kate, Pauline. So, I seem to have endless tea happening. Thank you, whoever offered the tea. I think. Yeah, sure. Ge dun se kun ge je po lama te la mahana hamla chu pa. Guru is Buddha, the Guru is Dharma, the Guru is Sangha also. To all Gurus I make this offering. And as Geshe-la says, chin chin. It is hot, I felt that. Okay, righty. And so then in our books, retreat books, those who have, but anyway, maybe people know this off by heart, just saying. So page 29. So the altar offering Dakas Dakinis were just hard at work, refreshing on the altar or the gorgeous offerings. And so now we can bless, multiply, and present the offerings, which completes it being an offering. So at home, of course, you can always simplify it down to Omahong, 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 but why not? Let's do it extensively. May divine and human offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated, become clouds of the finest Samanta Bhadra offerings, filling the entire realm of space. Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Pramadane Tathagateya Ahate Samyak Sam Buddhaya Tayata Om Vajra Vajra Maha Vajra Mahateja Vajra Mahavija Vajra Mahabodhi Chita Vajra Mahabodhi Mendo Pasam Karmana Vajra Savakama Purano Vishudana Vajra So Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Pramadane Tathagateya Ahate Samyak Sam Buddhaya Tayata Om Vajra Vajra Mahavajra Mahateja Vajra Mahavija Vajra Mahabodhi Chita Vajra Mahabodhi Mendo Pasam Karmana Vajra Savakama Purano Vishu Vajra sorry Pramana Vajra Sava Kamas Avarano Vishudana Vajrasoha Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Pramadane Tathagateya Ahate Savyasam Buddhaya Tayata Om Vajra Vajra Mahavajra Mahateja Vajra Mahavija Vajra Mahabodhi Chita Vajra Mahabodhi Mendo Pasam Karmana Vajra Savakama Purano Vishudana Vajrasoha. The extensive power of truth. By the power of the truth of the three rays sublime ones, the blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the great wealth, completed two types of merits, and the pure and inconceivable sphere of phenomena, may these powers of clouds of offerings arising through transformation by the Bodhisattvas, Arya, Samanta, Bhadra, Manjushri, and so forth, unimaginable and inexhaustible, equaling the sky, arise in the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions received. And then, of course, visualizing they're receiving all these offerings, totally blissed out, showering down blessings on us, delighted in our practice. That's the important part, right? Not skipping straight ahead. Kewadi Nujuda Lama Sangye Tripkune Drowachi Kamalupa De Salagopa Shu Janchu Sencho Rinpoche Make Panam Ge Guchi Gewan Yampa Mepa Gongne Gongdu Pewa Shu. Always good to dedicate immediately in case you die the next second. Or, no, dying's all right. Get angry. That's heavy. dying making offerings, I think I'd love to go like that. Should I have any say in it? And you'll notice down there underneath, of course, those who have the book, there's this prostration with the mantra and homage. So this is one of these multiplying mantras that when we do the prostration practice, Rinpoche's given us many. And it's what we did this morning, what we've often done at the beginning of our practice. Om Namo Manjushriye Nama So Shriye Nama Otama Shriye Soha. So the first one, paying homage, 30. The first one, it comes up again in the prostration practice, but right here, we just happen to be open that page. The first one, paying homage, Namo, homage, to Manjushriye, so to the Buddha. So we can think of any Buddha at this point. We can think of Shakyamuni Buddha, as Lama Tsongkhapa had that direct perception, homage to, connection with Manjushri. And so we can think like that. We can think of Chenrezig, we're Chenrezig Institute. Maybe when we're doing our Chenrezig practice, we can think like that. Vajrasattva practice, we can think like that. Nama Sushriye Dharma, Nama Uttamashriye Sangha. So prostrate to 1, 2, 3. Buddha Dharma Sangha. Okay. And then the next one up on the next page just happens to be there. It comes up again in this is the one we were talking about earlier. Lama Tompaton Dinde Shepa Dra Champa Yangda Pasope Sangye Pao Gyawa Shakya Tupala Chad Zerlo. And then it has an extra bit here, which is not in the prostrations. Which is the bit that says, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. Please grant your blessings. Okay, so I think our offerings are done. So thank you, Venerable Wangmo La brought another commentary, which is absolutely fantastic as well. This is your copy. I haven't checked if it's in the library. Purification in Tibetan Buddhism by Geshe Jumpa Gyatso, who was at Institute Lama Tsongkhapa. And he passed from that body in January in 2007, because I remember, because we were at the Kalachakra teachings at Amravati, where Lord Buddha gave the Kalachakra, and well, I didn't know what was going on, but I just knew the lamas were doing this big procession all of a sudden, and so it was for Geshe Jumpa Gyatso, who obviously wasn't there, but sort of honouring him. So thank you very much, and that has superb amount of commentary. Did you want to add anything to that? But it's a while, which means she's had it for a while, which I'm impressed by. Yeah, so I think you put all the commentaries together, and if you're focusing on one practice or another, you're focusing on all the reading around that particular practice, and then if you do it in a retreat setting, you just mainly read on that. So I'll just pop it there in our collection. And we've got a wonderful from the bookshop down below. Might be still some copies there. Okay, so we're continuing on with the prostration practice. So normally, yes, in our formats, we have had Q&A at this time, or discussion time, but we have been discussing as we go along, if everyone's okay with that. Are there particular questions? Because I'm getting back to Kate's, but we just, as we come along. So the most important for all of these practices is that we do it with a mind of faith, obviously. And I would say the fact that we're here, we can tick that box on faith. Faith meaning confidence, conviction in the power of these practices. Like, even though, as we were talking about before lunch, it's like, well, we can't actually see the results unless we see some of those signs happening. And you feel like, oh yeah, I've had a dream about being at a teaching, and then it says it's got to happen frequently and in consecutive times, and you go, okay, right, way to go. Might be just by chance. Okay. Join the dots. Might happen again and again. Okay. So then Kate, I know your question came along a bit differently, Kate, but you were asking about, what is for confession to the guru. So you thought that it might be going up to the teacher, to the guru, and going up to them personally, face to face, and confessing all your wrongs. And we sort of do that in a way as monastics when we do sojong, but you're not going through you're going through a formula. I'm just like, because I thought when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, I've got to say I did this. And anyway, that was my Catholic upbringing, going to, confession. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been 7 days since my last confession. I can still remember it right there. Okay, do 3 Hail Marys, do this, do that, remedy, gave me a remedy. So we do that sort of thing. But there is a practice in our retreat book, Kate, just saying, that is specific to the broken samaya, broken pledges, any harm in relation to the guru, that is specifically in relation to that. And that is the samaya vajra, samaya pledge or promise, or those commitments we've made. And I think it's on page 119, if I'm correct. Yes, Samaya Vajra Damtsig Dorje practice. And we're not going to go through it, but the practice of Samaya Vajra, page, what did I say? 116. 116, yeah, I said the wrong thing. 116. The practice of Samaya Vajra is a powerful practice to purify, in particular, the negative karma collected in relation to the guru. We also said that before lunch, that in the prostration practice, that last of the 35 Buddhas, even reciting that over and over again, even when you're not prostrating. Hi, Sarah's joined us. Welcome. Hola. Are you here tomorrow as well? Excellent. She's joining us tomorrow as well. Great. Managed to make it up from south. Fantastic. So we visualize Samaya Vajra, and there's a visualization here above the crown of your head. And then that out of their compassion, all your gurus manifest as Samaya Vajra, so you can purify all the negative karmas of having broken and degenerated your samayas. And it says especially the tantric samayas, and then there's other visualizations if you have those tantric vows, but don't need to worry about those at this point. So that's a specific practice, which is mainly this recitation of the mantra Om Prajna Drikha Hum, which we do here in our morning practices. But we basically just, in that practice, not spending a lot of time on the visualization and so forth, although you can, as you're reciting the mantra, do that. Perhaps I'll turn that off. Be easier, wouldn't it? Okay. All right. So that was one thing. But I also want to say it comes up when we get to the confession prayer, which we haven't got to yet. But there's, if we're talking about complete confession, there's 2 different forms of confession, ultimate and relative or conventional confession, or, in relation to the 2 truths. So the ultimate one is, what do you think the ultimate one is? What would it involve? When we hear ultimate truth, what do we always think? Emptiness, exactly. Meditating on emptiness. It's not a trick question. It's not a test and not a trick question. There's no test for this. Well, there is. It's one very long test. Complete all of these. Meditate on the lack of, and then you do have to, I think you have to write about something too, about your experience of doing the experience, special integration experiences. All right. Ultimate meditate on the lack of intrinsic existence okay, which we said before lunch, which is the actual purifies all negative karma, all defilements, all the imprints, along with their seeds, you know, everything, absolutely everything. So that would be called the greater confession, or bodhicitta. So this is what those 35 beginner bodhisattvas did, and popped them up onto the first bhumi, you know, not so beginner after all, you know, realization of emptiness. So that achieved that. And that's why they only needed one time in this practice, because they attained that. The whole 35 of them has been all on the same level, you know, just ready to pop. They prostrated and laid bare their wrongs just once. They were purified of all evil and rose up to the first bhumi, and had, which is having a direct realization of emptiness as a result of that. And so then there is the relative confession, where you're, as we discussed this morning, combining the four opponent powers and calling to mind the illusory nature of phenomena. So this is what Nagarjuna's advice. So you think there is no inherently existing I who is prostrating. There is no inherently existing Buddha, Guru, Buddha I'm prostrating to. And there is no inherently existing action of prostrating, etc., etc., etc. So you think like that. You look at, so when we get to the general confession prayer, there's other ways of also incorporating that. There's meditation on emptiness there, in terms of no action of on our side, no action of creating negative karma, no creator of negative karma, no negative karma created. So same thing, the three circles, as we say. Okay. So then I think, you know, generally when we're prostrating, and Graham just happened to have his book with, you know, description, or was it a book, or was it, you found it online? The vagus nerve. It actually goes from the brain to the stomach and all your organs. So it has a widespread effect. So this practice has a very widespread effect. It's not just a good workout, although those that can do it, it is a good workout, right? But also it has that whatever effect, and that would explain the sort of, certainly the generation of positive energy, of virtue, and so in our mind as a result of the practice. So we're prostrating physically, verbally, and mentally, but it is an act of humility. It's an act of devotion and homage, as in the Om Namo Manjushri. You know, so we can think that we're paying homage to the external Buddha, but what's the real Buddha jewel is our own Buddha nature and the awakening of that. So we can also be prostrating the Buddha nature within ourselves and within all beings, you know, expand that. Okay, so we're paying respect, homage, an act of humility with our body, speech and mind. So we know that all of our practices, even though we're doing something physical, something verbal, ideally, right? We're actually saying as well, because we need, it's a purification of the three. The main thing is the mental. And even Lama Zopa says, even you can't do the physical prostration fully, or, you know, and standing respectfully in prostration mudra, that even dependent on the power of your concentration and the power of your visualization can be more powerful, right? Because it's mental. Or like the guy who was, oh, was it a guy? The person, the student, I don't know if it was a guy or not, who was catching a plane and was doing the nyondro and didn't want to break continuity across the international date line or something like that. And it's like, well, Rinpoche, I can't prostrate on the floor. They don't let you lie down on planes. Not that you probably want to either. I mean, you don't really want to draw that sort of attention to yourself. Rinpoche said, oh, do it mentally. And of course, it was a he, observed that it was so much harder to do the prostration mentally than when you're doing physically, maybe you're doing less mentally. But, we try and do all three, of course, in a very perfect way, as much as we can. Okay, all right. Good. So then, we've done that. Okay, so we talked about all the different Buddhas and they purified different things, some hatred, ignorance, some attachment, different kinds of negative imprints. So then the actual practice of so in the retreat book at least, because we all have one of those, so let's use that one. Well, sorry, those of us here in the Gompa all have one, sorry, others. If you have a copy of the Confession of Downfalls to the 35 Buddhas, anyway, those links I send you give you everything. What page are we? We are on page 44, but I'll just go back. We won't go through this 100%, but page 41, and this is why it's a whole complete practice. We have the motivation. We're setting our motivation. So the first paragraph, bodhicitta motivation, I'm doing this for the benefit of all others, all other sentient beings, for their benefit, because I want to become a Buddha, I've got to purify the defilements. And then we go through the different realms of existence, what it would be like if I was born in a hell realm, one tiny fire spark my body, hundreds of 1,000 times hotter than all the whole entire fire energy in this world. And that's only one, the hottest hell, Avicii. So, but it's only one hell. If you went through all the hells, well, apart from, could take some time, but that's what I say to my Catholic friends. At least when I was Catholic, I only had one hell. Now we've got quite a number more, got all the hot hells and the cold hells and the neighbouring hells and quite a lot of them, really. But they're states of mind. We take them as psychological states of mind, when we looked at samsara nirvana, we looked at that. And then we think about karma. I've created numberless causes to be born in these realms, creating the 10 non-virtuous actions, because I know what they are, and I know that it's what a non-virtue is, and I know that conclusion is I have some faith in that there's been past lives, even though I can't remember them, and in those past lives I didn't always have these perfect conditions I have right now, and so forth and so forth, breaking all levels of vows that I've had. It's quite, I remember the first time they said, when you take bodhisattva vows and tantric vows, you're taking them for all future lives. And it is like, gulp. That's a big responsibility, isn't it? But we've done this many times, So, yeah. And the heaviest negative karma, so this is also Kate's thing, in relation to the holy virtuous friend, our spiritual teachers, harming the holy body, disobeying the advice, disturbing the holy mind, having non-devotional thoughts and giving rise to heresy and anger. I mean, we can contemplate each of these ones and call to mind if there are particular ones we need to very urgently purify. Every single one of these negative karmas, so we come back to negative actions, has 4 suffering results. So we went through those 4 results, karmic results this morning. And I'm driven because of that, because I end up in these bodies as ants and cockroaches and whatever. You can't purify. So I'm going to do the same thing over and over again, and I'm going to keep experiencing results of that. And karma increases, so all the actions of karma, it's definite. We don't experience karma we haven't created the cause for, and it doesn't go to waste. Like, it doesn't just sort of, if nobody knows about it, then it didn't happen. That doesn't work, rightio. So the same analogy of the poison, wanting it out of my body as swiftly as possible. And then a reflection on death and impermanence, because when the mind says, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll start after the Vajrasattva retreat, I'll start, just like my dear friend Gareth, who, he was living the Dharma, boy, oh boy, in a very challenging body and mind. Like, he had since birth. Since birth, he had huge physical and mental issues. He's so pure. Geshe Samten said he's so pure. He just wanted to ordain, but he didn't get to ordain in this life. He was almost there. You know, dead, 27, heart attack. Can happen anytime, right? So it's good to remember all those things. So then we come to this visualization. So in the visualization, we don't have here, like at Kopan, the only light can tell us how they have an amazing, huge tanka, right? Was the tanka there in the new Gompa? It's massive. Big 35 Buddhas tanka. So, oh, sorry. I'm consistent. I'm consistently not computer literate or not camera literate. That's why I'm not on. That's why I'm not a newsreader.
They didn't have it in the Chenrezig meditation. They'd only just finished painting it.
Oh, they'd only just finished painting. It hadn't made its way back. I mean, they had some amazing statues. I was like, wow, just phenomenal. Everything was glowing in there. Anyway, so we have this here. It's on the cover of that. Well, it's on the. No, that's a different visualization there. It's on the cover of, so there are, you'll see different representations of this, like Venerable Wangmo's book by Geshe Jumpa Gyatso has a different image, this one, and Venerable Yangshan used the one out of the Buddha book. So it's in here, it's in, I think How to Meditate has a black and white, How to Meditate, black and white. But in the preliminary practice of prostrations, which is the one recommended, it's there. Okay, so it's good to have at some point, like something I think at least as big as this to be able to refer to. Do they have in the shop? I've asked this before. I think we had some previously in the shop. Anyway, if you can get online, I didn't check if it's on that DB links, if there's one, but yeah, it's really handy to see who everyone is, or at least be able to see them, even if you don't know who they are, and then you can find out who they all are. So at the top, I'll try and go through this. Shall I hold that there like that? Does that help, or is it too glossy? Yes? Is it helpful? Huh? It's helpful on the camera? Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm pointing to the camera now. Okay, so visualizing your guru in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha here, right? So we have a familiarity with the representation of Shakyamuni Buddha with the 32 major marks and the 80 minor signs. With, at his heart, 1,000-armed Chenrezig. That's why you probably can't see that in detail, but there. 1,000-armed Chenrezig at the heart of the Buddha. Or sometimes said, if you're doing a specific practice, visualize that at the heart. Like, could be Vajrasattva. Anyway. At the heart, 1,000, no, you could be visualizing Vajrasattva and at the heart of that Chenrezig. Anyway, it gets very complicated, right? Let's just keep it like this. The heart of 1,000-armed Chenrezig is the syllable Shri. So you can get, I've got it in my bag, somewhere, I carry it around with me, a Shri, like in the Tibetan script. It's good to have those visualizations, or, if not, you can see it's written Shri, right? And from the Shri, the seed syllable of Chenrezig, I don't know if it's in the Nyungne one. Someone have a look and see if it's in there. Forming 6 rows in the space below. So that's the first 6 rows here, because then at the bottom we have the medicine Buddhas, and then we have the offering dakinis, making offerings of sense objects like we just made those offerings. Okay. So then in each of the rows is, it relates to the 5 Buddha families, we say, or 5 dhyani Buddhas. Dhyani means meditation. So sometimes called 5 meditation Buddha families, or wisdom Buddhas, the 5 wisdom Buddha families, or lineages, families generally. Okay, each of those. And what I found really handy was because each of the names that we're going to recite, that we recite when we're doing this practice, belongs to one of those. So as it says, so at the heart of Thousand Arm Chen Resit, beams of light emitted from the tree, forming the 6 rows in the space below. So you have these, rainbow lights coming down to each of the Buddhas below, and each of the rows and each of the Buddhas. So in the first row are 6 Buddhas, blue in color. We'll go through these. Aspect of Akshobhya, with the exception of the 3rd Buddha, King Lord of the Nagas, who has a blue coloured body but a white head. The 2nd row, 7 Buddhas, white in colour. And the aspect of Varachana. In the 3rd are 7 Buddhas, yellow in colour, in the aspect of Ratnasambhava. In the 4th row are 7 Buddhas, red in colour, in the aspect of Amitabha. In the 5th row are 7 Buddhas, green in colour, in the aspect of Amoghasiddhi. So these are the 35 Buddhas, and then medicine Buddhas underneath. All right, so when we're actually going through the prostrations to the 35 confession Buddhas, so on page 45, if you have the retreat book, so the first one is Shakyamuni Buddha, which is why, 1 plus 6 in the first row makes the 7 up. So 7, 5, 35, right. Okay, so what I find to familiarize and help with the visualization is to write in your own text. I've got it written in pencil. It's my own text, but it's written in pencil. Which Buddha family? So to Tathagata thoroughly destroying with Vajra essence, I prostrate. So that's blue Akshobhya, right? Blue Akshobhya or Matupa. Things are behind when you want them. So it's okay. So there, as it says, blue, 6 Buddhas, blue in colour in the aspect of Akshobhya, with the exception of the 3rd Buddha, King Lord of the Nagas, who has a blue coloured body but a white head. Does that one say why he's got a white head? We don't know why he's got it. Something to do with the Naga bit. Yeah, I'm not sure why white head, but someone can find that out and let us all know. So each of these Buddha families, so first of all, it's purifying one aspect, one particular deluded state of mind, and transforming it into the wisdom of that particular Buddha family. So even when we're doing our prostrations, and everyone's familiar with that, we're first of all, as Lama Zopa says, putting your hands at the crown and keeping in mind, I know everyone knows the prostration mudra, but Rinpoche is very insistent on the fingers pointing up, not like this, not like that. I think, sometimes when people go down also, you either have your hands out like this with the fingers up towards the throne, thinking you're, you could feel like you're paying respects or at the feet of the Guru, the Buddha. Or sometimes people put it up over their head, but not back, not like this. You're not going down your back, right? That it's up. Rinpoche always says, keep your hands up. So I think that's good, whether you're sitting there in prayer like this, so it's not like this, it's not like that, it's not like any other way, up. And of course, we know we're presenting a precious jewel here to all the Buddhas and so forth. So we've gone through that previously. Okay, so at the crown, it creates the karma to have that for the out of the 32 major marks, there was Nisha, the crown protrusion of the Buddha, a pinnacle. And so we're thinking that, to benefit beings, we need to cultivate the causes, the different aspects of the holy body of the Buddha. So that's what we're thinking. And then at the forehead, purifying our ordinary physical form. So we're not thinking of our ordinary physical form, purifying that and creating the causes to have the form body of the Buddha. And we could think again about the marks and signs, but in particular, as Rinpoche says, it's called the treasure hair, this one right here, which is, that chakra there. And apparently that hair just goes on and on and on and on and on, can be pulled right out. Not come out, but, and then it goes all the way back. Sometimes it's represented on our images with a jewel. So that's what that jewel is. Is that treasure hair. And Rinpoche says, for us to attain that, or any of them, we need to accumulate huge amounts of merit. So putting your hand at the throat, it's again purifying our ordinary being's speech and creating the power of speech of a Buddha, the pure speech of a Buddha, pure 60 eloquent qualities of the Buddha's speech. So you think like that. And then at the throat, purifying our ordinary deluded mind, which is what the whole practice is about, and creating the cause for the pure enlightened mind, sangye, having purified all the defilements, ge, and attained all the realizations and so forth. Okay? So purifying all the negative karmas of body, speech, and mind, and attaining infinite qualities of the Buddha's holy body, speech, and mind. So we think that as we're doing that. So we have, the whole practice of mindfulness in relation to when we're prostrating and when we put our hands down and not putting our hands apart, because we create the cause to be born a webbed being, and not like this, you'll be a hoofed being. Although, I would find that difficult. But then Rinpoche, last time when Rinpoche was here, the holy being, mentioned, because his hand wasn't out straight, that, indicated that was creating the cause for that. Of course, it's the holy being manifesting for our benefit and reminding us to be, it's a practice of mindfulness. Okay, we keep it like that. Being really mindful of every step of the way. And then it said, when we go down, we come up quickly, and we add all these visualizations that we can visualize ourself, as many bodies on every atom of the earth, covering as much earth as possible from here down to the other side of the earth. Just visualize the whole thing, bringing up sentient beings up out of the suffering realms up to enlightenment, etc. Visualizing all other beings in human form, prostrating along with us. So we make it as expansive as possible. Right. So the 5 Buddha families, back to them. So Akshobhya, blue. Sometimes in the east, sometimes in the center. So this is the 5 different families have different names. The Vajra family. So these, those of us who've taken tantric vows, it comes along pledges in relation to the 5 families, but you don't need to worry about those pledges, but they're sort of come along there. So Akshobhya or Mitrugpa. So downstairs in the Tara room on that far wall, there's a big one. So you can go down and see that there. But that's why I wanted that other gold book, because the old gold book, the thinner gold book, FPMT Prayers, Volume 1, it actually has an image there. Not a huge one, but an image there of each of the Dhyani Buddhas. So you can try and get a sense for their actual mudra or gesture.
That was one thing that took me a while to figure out. Like, you know, that family's like
What they're doing.
what they're doing with their hands, and it was a bit hard to visualize till I could do the research.
So the Matrukpa blue, you just got to think blue, like Medicine Buddha blue, if you're not sure what color blue, is in a similar gesture to posture to the Shakyamuni Buddha one, with the right hand draped over the knee and the left in the lap, or as you'll see down below, because it's the Vajra family, Vajra, indestructibility, sharp wisdom, diamond cutter, so forth. So with the right hand over the knee, draped over the knee, earth touching mudra, and then the left, usually with a Vajra. I have a little satsa at home, but it's a little bit chipped, so I didn't want to show you a chipped satsa. Just saying. Where's our satsa house? Okay, so this one is said to be purifying anger and creating the cause for mirror-like wisdom. So these out of the 5 wisdoms. So you can read up more about each of the Buddhas and make it more meaningful. And each of them also relates to an element and also to one of their aggregates. So with the elements, Nagarjuna's advice is to create a mandala of the 5 elements. So the mandala of the 5 elements, I don't have an image of that here. It's, I think when Andy Weber was at least in Sydney, one of the years, it was the mandala of the 5 elements. And it was the only time I thought, I think I could draw that one because there's no faces in there. It's just a lotus and this and that. Anyway, it includes all the colors and everything. So mandala, to make a mandala offering, to make this practice more extensive. And so, and then the aggregate is that of consciousness, right? Oh, water element, and that of consciousness. Okay, so that's the first lot. And then if you go back to what we were looking at, when you come down the page, you just count 6 more down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you get to Tathagata jewel moonlight, and that's white Varachana. White Varachana. Again, Varachana can be in the east. I think usually we have Varachana in the east, and that's what I was looking at when we have the looking for behind there on His Holiness throne. Is there one on Mama Zopa's throne as well? The double dorje Vajra cloth at the front, and there's white down the bottom.
Yes.
Yes. So white is in the east, and when we do, like when we learnt about mandalas, it was sort of like towards ourselves. Wherever, it doesn't matter where you are. Like I'm in the west, but I'm pointing here for east for most of the time. Sally.
If I remember correctly, and you would know this having been to
Borobudur.
Acharya is facing east on that.
Yeah, facing east. Yeah, yeah.
And Varachana is the top layer.
Yes.
The center.
Yes, yes, because This is the Buddha family. So this is the wisdom of Dhammadhatu, of phenomena. So that's why up the top of Borobudur, like up until the top, the stupas have like little diamonds and this and that. And right at the top, no, completely plain. So that's to show the absence of that, right? And that's the space element. So it's that space-like wisdom of aspect of the enlightened mind, you know. And that one purifies ignorance. So it's the direct antidote to ignorance, as we know, wisdom realizing emptiness. Okay, and so that is the Buddha family. So what would be, do you think, the symbol of the Buddha family? No, that comes along later. The 8-spoked wheel, the Dharma chakra, you know, Eightfold Path, etc. Okay, so and that's the form. So purifying ordinary form. Okay, that's that one. So then you turn the page, or at least I'm turning the page, and then the one, Tathagata, water god, I prostrate, that's yellow, Ratnasambhava. We're starting that family. Yellow or gold Ratnasambhava. He's in the south. Ratna means jewel, so that's the family symbol, if you like. And then, oh, we didn't go through the, so if you look at, sorry, going back, I'm skipping ahead, if you've got an image there of Vairocana with the two hands at the heart, there are different representations for Vairocana, but this one is, just like with the Dharma chakra, wheel turning mudra, it's a teaching mudra, like turning the wheel of Dharma in the world. And then the next one, Ratnasambhava, right? Yellow. It's got, you can't see in huge detail, at least I can't, but the palms open this way, downwards. It's an open of supreme generosity. So Ratna, yellow is increase, yellow increase, right? Generosity, practice of supreme generosity, open palm. And this one is purifying the aggregate of feeling. You know, we go form, feeling, discrimination, etc., feeling, sensation, and creating the, purifying that to the wisdom of equality, equanimity. So the one of feeling is pleasure, pain, or indifference. So having an equanimous mind is purifying those. Okay, so that's that one. And then if you're following in the retreat book, the last one on the page is the beginning of the next Buddha family, Amitabha Buddhist family. We have here, right here, up above Chen Rezig. What color? Red. Amitabha Buddha, red, of the lotus family. So the lotus family, because Chen Rezig, if we think Chen Rezig, lotus, I mean, I think we can remember that on Mani Padme Hum, can't we? Yes? Makes sense? Okay. And of course, the whole story about Amitabha and Chen Rezig. So Amitabha, the guru of Chen Rezig, the boss of that family, if you like. So the lotus family in the West, right? And here we have Amitabha in the West. So it sort of works for us here. And Amitabha is generally, so the Buddha of infinite light. So generally in meditation mudra. And the wisdom of discrimination, discernment, perception, where you can distinguish things. And that's, not surprisingly, the aggregate of perception discrimination. Not surprisingly, that one's easy to remember. Okay, and red, what do you think the element is? Fire. Yeah, heat, fire. So I skipped on the element for Ratnasambhava is earth. Okay. All right, that's that one. I think we've done all the bits there. And then on the next page, starting with Tathagata, king holding the victory banner, foremost power I prostrate, is green Amoghasiddhi, Amoghasiddhi in the north. So Amoghasiddhi can be represented with either a double vajra or a sword, usually. Amoghasiddhi. I think usually we have, what have we got? Yeah. Okay. So we've got this mudra here, the right hand at shoulder height, peaceful aspect. This is a gesture of fearlessness, offering fearlessness. Or we say that Buddha's gone beyond fear, jigme, fearlessness. Okay. And that's the all-encompassing wisdom. And so this is a purifying, there's only one left, compositional factors. It's the aggregate, sorry, compositional factors. Okay, I guess at what it's purifying, because I think this one's easy. It's green. Jealousy. It's interesting how we have this in our culture. I mean, we don't necessarily have all the others. The other one, sorry, I didn't say Amitabha, purifying desire. Okay. So it's good to, from time to time, contemplate that, I think, and think, what all of these things represent. You don't have to know it all the time, but I think it helps with the visualization. It certainly helps with our understanding and our aspiration to attain all of those aspects. Okay. So then we recite through, and of course, as we go through, I mentioned the mantras at the beginning of, on page 44, there's a few more mantras. If you're doing a group retreat, I don't know if they did that at Kopan, but at a group retreat, because did you follow along a CD or did somebody recite?
We did follow along a CD. We had 280 people there, so we
yeah. And did they have the mantras? Because I don't remember, I don't think so. I know I was leading this and I just can't remember that whether they had all the three mantras here on page 44.
We did everything right from the motivation every morning or the whole way.
Yeah, great. Excellent. So then there were all these multiplying mantras to up the ante of your practice. So when you do a group retreat, usually with Lama Zopa Rinpoche or under the guidance of Rinpoche, or in fact, if you come to the Lam Rim retreat or Vajrasattva retreat, we'll do all of those, right? So it's a great opportunity to learn them. You might feel like you've already learnt more mantras than you knew existed, but there's more and more. So, and then we have, and then you do these multiplying mantras and then taking refuge, I, say your name, etc. Rightio, and then we do the prostrations. Now, in the original sutra, the Tathagata wasn't there. The word Tathagata. So this was added by Lama Tsongkhapa. So Lama Tsongkhapa, it is said, as we heard, he did 100,000 to each of these Buddhas. But at some point, he was having a difficulty. He hadn't yet seen Manjushri directly. He got everything except the head. I mean, this is how the story goes. And when he added the Tathagata, so the one gone beyond, the Buddha, thus gone, when he added that into this practice, it's all the Buddha. It's all Manjushri directly. So as a result of that, we have it in the practice. Okay? So we go through this generally 3 times. We discussed about timing and everything this morning. And then you can see we have the 7 medicine Buddhas. So they're in the row below. So they're added in by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So again, that wasn't in the original package from the Buddha, so to speak. But Rinpoche has made all our practices very extensive. Thank you very much for our benefit. And if you think about the significance of the medicine Buddhas at this time in this world, it's very, I remember one time Geshe Zopa in Nepal saying it's like the sutra practice of this time. And he said Vajrayogini is the tantric practice of this time, but then maybe somebody else would say something else is, you know. Anyway, so the five families, 7 medicine Buddhas. So again, when they made the commitment to be manifest in the world or manifest their power at a time of 5 degenerations or great degeneration, time of great degeneration. And as we hear from His Holiness more and more of just how we're, you know, coming to the end of this world system, we get a sense of urgency. But what are the 5 degenerations? I know some people know them, or at least 1 or 2. Good start? No? Yeah. So so that the lifespan of human beings getting shorter. And we say, but that's not true, it's getting longer. But it is said that it will go down to 10 years. Just think your life expectancy is 10 years old, or already too late for all of us here to start doing this practice because we're dead. I mean, if we think like that, it's a bit scary. But also increased physical, mental illness, we see that. Environmental destruction, we see that. Increased disharmony. And as Lama Zopa Rinpoche said earlier this year, not just conflict, world wars and so forth, but on every level of every relationship, like from one-on-one all the way up to the world, like everyone, the whole world at war with each other. And I think we get a sense of that in the world. I mean, is it just me, or does it feel like in the 70s we had hope and then it's all gone downhill since then? Family violence has gone up, etc. Or are we just talking about it more and making it more aware in the world? But nonetheless, there's a lot of negative stuff going on in the world. So we see this, it's a period of great degeneration of body, mind, environment, the whole kit and caboodle, everything, isn't it? Which is why engaging in purification practice, engaging in Dharma is so much more powerful, because we're doing it at a time when we're not surrounded, like the Buddha was, by fellow seekers after truth. Well, we have each other, thankfully, you know, thankfully, keeping the flame alive. Hence the responsibility. So we add that in, okay. And then the confession prayer. That's what I wanted to get up to, the confession prayer. So after we've done all our prostrations, it's good to learn this first confession prayer off by heart, because in the convention of FPMT and when we do these retreats, if one knows this, I mean, it's always good to learn everything off by heart anyway, because guess what? When you die, no, even before you die, and you start losing your eyesight and you start losing your hearing, there's no good trying to rely on words on a page because you can't see them. So it's good to, as Venerable Dronsel, you know, when she was coming towards the end of her life and we're doing practices with her, and there was one practice we were doing, and I said, oh, you know this off by heart? And she said, no. And then she turned to the other nun and said, remember that. I mean, she was just, everything was concerned for others, not for herself, for others. She was remarkable. But it was a note to self, you know, learn what you can. Okay, so this one. So it says, whatever negative actions I have created, may others create or rejoiced in the creation of. So if there's a formula here. Okay, we know about what I've created, made others create. That means when I go and ask you to kill a being for me, let alone mass murder of termites or something, right? It happens. Then I can't purify their karma, but I've just created the karma of killing plus the karma of getting someone else to do that killing, which is double at least, right? And then rejoicing in the killing of, any killing or any harm, or, rejoiced in the creation of by any being. Great. Someone mass murdered. Heavy, heavy, heavy. It's as if you killed yourself, right? So we have to be very, very careful. There's a bird over there. Is there? In that cage. Is there a bird there, or is it just a cage? Is that a visual? Yeah, Bodhi's a bird. Last time I checked. Right. I only just saw. Yeah, I've heard him, but I thought he was up there.
He's been there all day.
He's been there all day. She's been feeding him all day. I'm very observant. Not. Anyway, Bodhi has the karma to engage in our Dharma Jaws activities. He does. And now he has a Dharma name as well. Okay. Yeah. And then it goes through the different realms that as a result of which we would be born in. Okay. All there. And then, okay, then it goes through, so the confession prayer. So all you 35 Buddhists, sorry, I'm skipping back to the beginning. All you 35 Buddhism, medicine Buddhism, the others, as many Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly complete Buddha Bhagawans, as are abiding, living, and residing in all world system of the 10 directions, all you Buddha Bhagawans, please pay attention to me. So then we go on, and the power of regret, bringing to mind all the negative things that we have done, that, that we have not purified. So intending here to purify. All right, we call that to mind, or any that we've rejoiced in others doing or asked them to do. So I always think about world leaders, causing people to drop bombs and causing people to go to fight in wars. I mean, that's pretty clear to me. But it's not just world leaders, is it? But that's creating heavy negative karma for their whole country, or for the whole world for that matter. And rejoicing in that. Okay. So rather than that, generating mind, feeling sad, feeling compassion and so forth for the victims and the perpetrators, we do whatever we can. And then whatever possessions of holy objects, possessions, Sangha, possessions of the Sangha of the 10 directions. So all of these representations of the Buddha Dharma Sangha. So very heavy, very heavy. So it, creates more and more heaviness. The ones of immediate retribution, the 5 heavy negative karmas without break, destined you for hell realms immediately. Do not pass go, sorry. Go to hell. If you haven't purified. And, that causes us to be, here we are with our precious human rebirth, with all the leisures and endowments or freedoms and opportunities. And then all of these states of unfreedom, which is listed here, which is, being born in the lower realms with imperfect faculties as a barbarian. As a barbarian means somewhere where the Buddhist teachings are not extant, or as a long-lived god, up in the god realms, but it's too cushy, and so you feel, you fritter away all that good karma that you've created, holding wrong views or not being pleased with the Buddhist descent. So all those human beings, we say, out of whom how many practice a spiritual path, out of those how many follow the Buddha's teachings, out of those how many follow the Mahayana Buddhist teachings, out of those how many study, put it into practice, and how many of those keep it in practice for the rest of their life, etc. It gets to be very small, So anyway, It goes through the leisures and endowments there. Okay. And then the next page, after we've confessed everything, we call to mind our virtuous actions on the basis of the 6 perfections. Okay. So then we have, so generosity, giving just one mouthful of food to even to a being in the animal realm. So you can think, I think about that every time I give a little something to a bird, let alone you give it huge amounts of little figgy things. How much she's fed those birds. Feed the birds, feed the birds. Yeah, they eat a lot. And he does that. Shake. It's such a cute little wobble. It's incredible. I don't know how the food goes in because he's wobbling his whole body around, excited. The attachment to food. He's got it. Okay, whatever roots of virtue by guarding morality. So ethical discipline, perfection of ethical discipline. We think about that, context of vows and so forth. Whatever roots of virtue I have created by following pure conduct. Page 52 we're on by now. Sorry, so following pure conduct. So Nagarjuna's commentary explains this as refraining from the 4 ways of acting in retaliation to what others do. So when you look at Bodhisattva's way of life, the patience chapter, chapter 6, there's many, many different examples of our mind turning towards retaliation in some form or another to harm done to the me, the ego, the self. So here, on one level, refers to the bodhisattva vows. Okay, so not getting, when others do harm, not retaliating in terms of not reacting back, getting angry back at them, not speaking harsh words back. And if someone criticizes us, to refrain from doing the same back to them. And if someone beats you, refrain from beating them back. So they're the 4 there. So that's our practice of pure conduct. Whatever roots of virtue I've created by fully ripening sentient beings, this is our enthusiastic perseverance to work for the benefit of others, the welfare of others, to prevent them going down wrong paths. I mean, those of us who've taken bodhisattva vows have this commitment, right? And help them get onto right paths. So that's that one. Fully ripening sentient being, whatever roots of virtue I have created by generating bodhicitta. So this is the perfection of concentration, 5th perfection, which is part of the bodhisattva path. So Nagarjuna says that you cannot progress on the bodhisattva path without an attentive, focused mind and keeping your mind in a virtuous state. So having that mindfulness aspect, okay? And then the next one, whatever roots of virtue I have created by my unsurpassed transcendental wisdom, the perfection of wisdom, realizing emptiness. So at least meditating on that, okay? So, unsurpassed, all these assembled and gathered together and combined together, I fully dedicate, unsurpassed, unexcelled. Thus, I completely dedicate all of this, all the perfections, or whatever I've done within all of that, to my own highest, perfectly complete enlightenment. So the whole combo of whatever I've done. Dedicating all that to attain the 4 kayas of the Buddha. The 4 Buddha bodies. What were they? Just a reminder. We just did it before lunch. 4 Buddha bodies. 4 bodies of a Buddha. Sambhogakaya. What's it? Dharmakaya, which is what? Truth body, wisdom body. Sambhogakaya, which is the enjoyment body, which is a form body. Namanakaya, which is an emanation body for our benefit or for whoever's benefit, wherever. And the other one is Svabhavakaya, which is the nature body, essence body, which is the emptiness of that wisdom body of a Buddha. So they all arise simultaneously. It's not like one comes and another one, then another one. They all arise simultaneously. Just like Shakyamuni Buddha simultaneously arising in this world for our benefit. Okay, depending on, yeah. In the Mahayana, we say that the Buddha was already enlightened and emanated that form and displayed the deeds of enlightenment to show us the path. Okay, Theravadan have a different story about that, but that's our understanding. So just as all the previous, just as all the past Buddha Bhagavans are fully dedicated, just all the future Buddha Bhagavans will fully dedicate, just the present, the abiding Buddha Bhagavans are fully dedicating, like that I too dedicate fully. So it's the same way as all the past, present and future Buddhas have dedicated their merits. I'm going to do that in the same way. Even though I'm not quite sure yet just exactly how they did do that. Why not just say like them? So rejoicing. Which is that, you know, we can rejoicing in the past, present and future merits of ourselves, of all other ordinary beings, of all the, including the ordinary bodhisattvas and the Arya bodhisattvas from, you know, from the first Bhumi, that's upward, and then of the Buddhas, gurus, and so forth. Okay, to the conquerors, the best of humans, who are living in the present time, who have lived in the past, and who will likewise come, all those whose qualities as vast as the infinite ocean, with hands folded, I approach for refuge. So we're imploring all the Buddhas, and thinking again, the ultimate Buddha, ultimate refuge, and again, and the Dharma and the Sangha are the relative objects of refuge, but we can also think of our own Buddha nature and those of all other beings, okay? All right, how are we doing? Everyone okay? Are we in need of a break?
Maybe.
Yes, definite need of a break. I think it might be too late to say goodbye to Gompa because I think he's left us already, but he's going to be here in the Gompo, he's going to be here in the Gompa tomorrow morning. Yay. He's going to become one with the Gompa and with us. And Virginia as well is going to be here. Okay. If he has the karma to wake up in this body and make it to up there. Well, same for us too. Okay, we'll have a break. Is 15 minutes enough or is that way too short? 20 minutes? 20 minutes. Let's say 20 minutes. So 5 past, we'll be back on deck. Oh, we'll turn ourselves off here.
We'll just stop the recording first. So first of all, we'll mute it.